On behalf of the Board of Trustees of Wofford College, I am pleased to announce that that board has elected Dr. Nayef Samhat as President of Wofford College effective July 1, 2013. I need to hurriedly get out of the way, that's obvious. Dr. Samhat has served as Provost and Professor of Political Science and International Studies at Kenyon College in Ohio since 2009. He has served in previous assignments at Centre College in Danville, Kentucky, and Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois. Dr. Samhat received his bachelor's degree in international economics from the George Washington University in Washington, D.C. in 1983, a master's degree in international affairs from Columbia University in New York City, and a PhD degree in political science from Northwestern University, where he earned a minor in comparative political economy. As you can easily discern, Dr. Samhat is quite the scholar. What you will also learn is that this is a gentleman, a gentleman, and a statesman. A native of Detroit, Dr. Samhat is married to Prema Samhat, an accomplished professional in her own right, currently serving as Director of the Knox Community Hospital Foundation and Director of the Marketing for the Knox Community Hospital Foundation and Director of Marketing and Communications for the hospital. They have 3 beautiful daughters. During his remarks, Dr. Samhat will provide a more complete acknowledgement of his family, for he is a consummate family man. Dr. Samhat.
Well, thank you very much. I guess I should warn you right off the bat that we Samhats are not athletes, so I hope I don't drop the baton. That worries me now. I'd like to thank Harold Chandler, Chairman of the Board. I'd like to thank all of the Board of Trustees, Mike James, who headed up the search committee. Has been very gracious. David Beecham, who has with all his talents, organized this process and organized the Samhats with grace, and that is no small task. And I want to thank my first friend that I met here at Wofford, Ed Story. I don't know where Ed, there he is, right there. He picked me up some time back. And of course, I particularly want to thank all of you. I'm deeply touched that you all have come out here on this wonderful, wonderful day. The Wofford community, faculty, staff, administrators, and students, who my wife, Prema, and I met when we visited the college a couple of short weeks ago. Everyone we have met through this process exemplifies a deep care and affection for this wonderful college and welcomed us with a graciousness of heart and spirit that we easily and sincerely embraced. Now, you may not know this, but one of the great things about being announced as a college president is that you get to see all your kids in one place and your family. So we won't be doing this next week, so I'm going to take advantage of it now. And if you were wondering who I went over and hugged and kissed a few moments ago, they weren't strangers, they were my family, and I'd like to take a moment to introduce them. First is my father. My dad, Harold. You may see a bit of him from now on, and he'll stop and talk to you and tell you all kinds of stories, and maybe stories about when I was a little boy and realized that I was the only son in the family. I was his best boy. I'm telling you this now, so when he tells you, you'll be prepared. And I was very pleased that I was the only boy in the family. No, his best boy. I was his best boy. And of course, I'm the only boy in the family. I have 2 sisters. And then he might say something like, and he just realized that last week. My dad spends a lot of time shooting around from Detroit to Tampa and back. I have a sister north of Tampa and a sister in Toledo. And occasionally he stops in Mount Vernon, and I'm happy to say he'll be stopping in Spartanburg from now on. I think whatever good I have become in my life, I owe to he and my mom. Values of hard work, good, sound moral compass, a loving and devoted partner and father. Those are the principles of a good life that he and my mom have imparted to me. And I could not carry on this day without him here. Next to my dad is my wife, Prema, who everyone really wants here, and I just tag along. I find this to be a routine pattern in my life. I met Prema in 1979 and have never thought of spending a day since without her. We've lived in New York, Detroit, Chicago, Danville, Kentucky, Gambier, Ohio, and now here in Spartanburg. She is my best friend, and I'm very proud to be her husband. Next to Prema are my 3 daughters, and I'm very proud to be their father. I said to my new board colleagues this morning, I'm biased, but my daughters are incredibly bright, charming, and beautiful, and they make us proud every single day. My oldest, Alia, is a Northwestern grad, a Peace Corps veteran. She spent 27 months in the Ukraine, and I remember watching her on Skype thinking, "Come home, Alia, please, come home." And my wife, strong woman that she is, said, "No, she must stay and finish this." And my wife is a very wise person, and Alia did, and she stayed and she finished it, and very successful, and she went on to New York and now works at Smithsonian Magazine. Next to her is my middle daughter, Jahan, and Jahani is 24, and she lives in Lexington, Kentucky. She's a University of Kentucky graduate, and she works at a company called eCampus and is very happy there. Jahani has done a wonderful job. She's been doing a lot of traveling now for the first time and managing it quite well. And then next to her is our youngest daughter, Layla. And Layla is a freshman at Central College, where we began our career. She just completed her first year and just completed her organic chemistry exam yesterday. And so that in and of itself is an accomplishment. So I want to say that I could not share this day without all of them here. I'm very proud of them. And I hope you will see them around often. So I just have a few brief comments. Because it's still hard to imagine that I'm standing here. I have to admit, when I started out in the academy, as I've told many of you a couple of weeks ago, I did so because I love teaching, I love political science, I love researching, I love being around young people, I love watching the transformation that goes on in their eyes. From the first year until the 4th year. Commencement is always a bittersweet time, right? Because young people you've worked with for 4 years are moving on to a new life, and you can't help but be happy and proud by the transformation they're experiencing and the wonderful paths that they'll take. But my gosh, it's just such a touching moment year in and year out. And it makes being in higher education, and a small college in particular, just an extraordinary experience. And so standing here, being named the 11th president of Wofford College is something I could never imagine. I follow a long line of great leaders dating back to Benjamin Wofford, and will try to the utmost to live up to the standard of President Bernie Dunlap. And because of that, because of this notion of imagination, how do you imagine one being in a place at a particular time? I thought I'd just offer a few comments on this notion of imagination, because it's often referred to, as I've done, but it's terribly underappreciated. For example, in my own scholarship, I've written about world politics. I've written about a world political order that might be a more just and humane and inclusive order built around things like representative non-governmental organizations, transparent international organizations, a kind of global democracy, a rising consciousness and commitment to enhancing the human condition for all people, no matter where they live. But this thing about imagination, it's flexible. It evolves with experience, understanding, opportunity, and, to be sure, a dose of good luck every once in a while. Just as I never imagined myself standing here, I know plenty of colleagues in political science who considered my idea of a more just world political order quite fanciful, even naive, in a world dominated by conflict and power. Yet I wonder, without imagination, where are we? Without imagination, how do we know where we might want to go? How do we push the horizons that our reality appears to impose on us? I would argue that we cannot do so without imagination. Absent the capacity to create in our mind a certain vision of what we want to be or do, or what our world might be like, we are mired in this constant place in space, without inspiration, without hope. It is, in other words, imagination that allows us to change the world in which we live, to make it a place we want to live, a place we hope it can be. These sound, I am sure, like aspirational words that lack substance, the kind of words, I imagine, you might hear at the announcement of a new college president. But the point is a central one for me today. For higher education has a profound role in fostering imagination, expanding the horizons of young women and men to guide them to thinking and conceptualizing all of the ways in which they can push their own horizons of the possible, and thereby, in collective, change the world in which we live. And here it's been my belief that the small residential liberal arts college is the most extraordinary experience for students in that pursuit. Small classes, intimate learning environments, easy access to all of the opportunities available, a community fabric that is real, deep, enduring, and from these elements come lifelong relationships, lasting memories, and a set of skills that allow students to adapt to a world and its own opportunities that we ourselves cannot yet imagine. In other words, I believe the kind of educational experience provided by our liberal arts colleges offers students a lifetime of reimagination. Of course, this is no small order, but it's essential to fostering the kind of citizenship that is meaningful, productive, and defined by strong ethical purpose. The task, however, is to begin to imagine what these, our kind of liberal arts institutions, might be like in the future of higher education. And I would argue that the world of higher education is at a critical point deserving of much imagination. There are challenges. The rapid impact of technology on learning inside and outside the classroom, the changing nature of knowledge, the pressures on families to afford college, and the pressure on colleges to afford providing it. We ask ourselves, too, not why we should become, but how we will become mirrors of a changing society. More importantly, we ask how we will continue to strengthen the experience of the small residential liberal arts college. Absent the creative and imaginative mind, we would indeed be stuck, mired, and fixed without a clue of what to do. But today, here at Wofford, this is our time, because challenges are not roadblocks, they're simply opportunities to reimagine the possibilities. And so here we are at Wofford. I stand before you with terrific pride, deep humbleness, following in the footsteps of President Bernie Dunlap and those before him, an extraordinarily strong college in every way. And I imagine, what can we do, who will we be, and how we will do it. The beauty of these moments of opportunity is that they allow us the inspiration. They allow us the inspiration to activate the collective imagination of a community, this community, to bring together voices, ideas, visions of Wofford College, not today, but for the next generation in this, the 21st century. This is an opportunity for us to define the place of Wofford College among the great liberal arts colleges in American higher education. It is an opportunity to shape the ways in which young women and men will define their own imaginations of the possible, to create the world I myself have imagined, a more just, a more humane, and inclusive world. This is not a frivolous suggestion that students come to understand they can make a difference in their world. This is our essential purpose in educating. So we must be inspired by this great and unique opportunity to imagine Wofford College together for the coming generation, an institution well aware of its past and well eager to embrace the future. For the ability to simply imagine, I hope you see, has shaped my life and brought me here to this college on this day, on this stage, and I'm grateful, humbled, and I thank you. Thank you very much.